Do you ever feel like following God just doesn't make any sense? Thanks for joining us today as we continue on in our Jericho series in our Daily Dose. My name is Brandon Vasquez, and I'm the campus pastor over at our Palma Valley campus. And we're going to pick up in Joshua 6 and read verses 12, 13, and 14. And it says this, Joshua got up early the next morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests carrying the 7 trumpets went forward, marching before the ark of the Lord and blowing the trumpets. The armed men went ahead of them, and the rear guard followed the ark of the Lord, while the trumpets kept sounding. So on the second day, they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They did this for 6 days. So here we have Joshua and all of his people, and God has asked them to march around the city and the walls of Jericho for 6 days, once a day for those 6 days, and on the 7th day to do it 7 times. Okay, and so if Joshua was anything, if I was in this book right here, I'd be like, God, why do I have to do this? Like, why can't you just give us what you're promising us right now? You don't need us to walk around this thing 13 times in 7 days. Can't you just do what you do? You're God. And God said, I promise you, I have something for you, but you're going to need to trust and obey me right now. My family and I were recently watching Pete's Dragon, and that's the original Disney classic from 1977. It's one of my favorite movies. And in this movie, there's this scene towards the end where there's a couple guys on a boat and the waves are crashing everywhere, and there's a big storm and lightning, and they're following the light of a lighthouse to get back to where they need to go. And so they're in this scene, and then this big wave, this big tidal wave comes up on the lighthouse and breaks the glass and puts out the light. It snuffs out the light. And then these dudes don't know where to go, right? And so sometimes as I was going through this, I feel like, and maybe you do too, where we feel like we're on the right plane, right? We're on the right track, and we know exactly what we need to be doing in our life, and we feel like God has a very clear path for us to go to, right? And towards. And then all of a sudden something happens, a tragedy hits us, and the light is gone. And we don't know where to go. We feel flustered, and we don't know what's left and what's right and what's up and what's down. And I picture me or you in that boat, and the other person being God, and God saying, okay, you can't see the light anymore, but I need you to trust me right now. It's not going to make sense, but I need you to go this way, okay? And you're like, God, but God, no, I know that's where the rocks were. Like the rocks, the big raggedy rocks will like tear up the bottom of our boat, and we'll end up falling and potentially dying. And I'm like, God, I know that's not the way to go. And God's like putting his arm around me and saying, trust me, this doesn't make sense, but I know where you need to go. And so some of you may think about your relationships and feeling like you're in a storm on a boat and you're up and down, and because there's a lack of relationships in your life, or the relationship you're in is broken, or the finances, they keep coming up short every month, and you're like, what am I supposed to do, God? What am I supposed to do? Or God's put something on your heart that makes so much sense to you but doesn't make sense to anything or anyone around you. And he's like, trust me, I have something for you. I've given you a promise that will be on the other side of the trust that I'm asking you to put in me right now. And so I don't know what that is for you. Sometimes I don't even know what it is for me, but just like he was asking Joshua and his people to circle around 13 times in 7 days and blow trumpets and carry things, and it didn't make a lot of sense, but they trusted that God had them. God had them. And so I ask you, and I ask myself, will we trust God when he has a promise for us on the other end, even when it doesn't make sense? Thanks for joining us today.